Hello, we are going to practice with the mindset of patience. And so I'll invite you to get into a position that feels comfortable for you, allowing the back to be straight but not rigid, allowing the shoulders to roll back perhaps just a little, letting the eyes close down if that feels available, otherwise just letting the gaze gently drop to a wall or the floor, even to your hands in your lap or on your knees. And then just letting the body settle down to a degree of stillness. And just maybe taking note of the way you've chosen to position the body for this time of practice. The way we come to practice, the way we choose to sit, the how of the meditation is just as important as the what. In that way, we can start to bring meditation out into our lives, start to become aware of the way our body's moving in space when we're living. Just noticing how this body is, how it's positioned, how it's sitting or even perhaps lying. And now I'll invite you just to experiment, to play with the possibility of letting go of any expectations you might have of how this practice will go, of how you'll feel after it or during it. And really bring this curiosity into this experience we're sharing together. And I'd like to start the meditation today with a poem. And it's a poem by Mary Oliver, and it's called Patience. And as I read this poem, I'd love you to feel how it feels in the body. It's so helpful to begin our meditation practices by becoming embodied, sensing in the body. Yes, it's partly a mind practice, but it's also a body and a heart practice as well. What is the good life now? Why, look here. Consider the moon's white crescent rounding slowly over the half month to still another perfect circle. The shining eye that lightens the hills, that lays down the shadows of the branches of the trees, that summons the flowers to open their sleepy faces and look up into the heavens. I used to hurry everywhere and leap over the running creeks. There wasn't time enough for all the wonderful things I could think of to do in a single day. Patience comes to the bones before it takes root in the heart, as another good idea. I say this as I stand in the woods and study the patterns of the moon shadows or stroll down into the waters that now, late summer, have also caught the fever and hardly move from one eternity to another. Just letting that beauty ripple and resonate within the body. And then letting go of contemplating those beautiful words. And just sensing and feeling into the expanse of this miraculous body. And you might even like to imagine that your body itself is a beautiful place in nature. Perhaps a forest, or a beach. And you might imagine that you are creeping in to this beautiful place and observing patiently and kindly the activity in this place. Observing the unfolding of each moment. You might notice different sensations in parts of the body. There might be tingling or warmth, softening or tension. You might notice emotions in the body. Can we bring our own patient and tender attention to whatever we find? There might be thoughts scurrying through the mind. And again, can we cultivate this gentle curiosity, this kindness, this patience with ourselves and our inner world? And if for whatever reason today this sitting with the expanse of this forest or beach or bush natural body feels uncomfortable or unavailable, you might like to attend to just one part of the body. It might be in the rising and falling of the belly with the breath, and just sitting patiently with that. Or it might be in the expansion of the chest. Or maybe that point between the eyebrows, the third eye center. And just noticing what happens there. Patiently noticing what you discover. We hold multitudes. The whole universe can be discovered within our own being. And for some of us, as we start to practice a little longer, the very familiar feeling of boredom can come up. And that is completely fine. This is a habitual response. And can we be curious about that feeling and our response to that feeling? And can we bring acceptance and patience and expansion to that feeling if it appears? And the same might go with agitation or fear. These are all happenings within your own forest body, your own beach body. We are made of nature. We are nature. We're made from the same atoms that we find in the soil and the stars. You notice the mind has been seduced by sticky thinking. That is okay. It's just another aspect of our nature. And we get to choose how we respond to these thoughts. We might be curious. We'll definitely be kind. And if we can, we might just let them go, unhooking our attention from this thinking and coming back into either sensing and feeling the natural expanse of the body, of the nature in the body, or letting our attention rest with one part, wherever it feels most helpful for you. At this stage of the practice, you're welcome to continue exploring in the way you have been, or sensing into that one part of the body. But if you'd like to, I'll invite you now just to experiment with almost imagining you are a core part of nature, a tree. You might like to sense and feel into your root system, this connection to earth, this solidity within earth, reminding us that we belong, we are part of something much greater than ourselves. A real rooting down, grounding into earth. And similarly, as the back is long and the chest is expansive, we might sense and feel ourselves reaching up into the sky. Broad and open. Our own bones becoming the bones of the tree, the scaffolding of the tree. expanding and growing in the way that it does, without pushing, without trying, without striving, without wishing it were different. And now, if you've chosen to cultivate this embodiment of the tree, just letting that go and sensing into the solidity of your own body, the groundedness of your own body, the connection of your own body, the expansion and strength of your own body. And knowing that this strength and connection is always available. It's always here. Both as we meditate, as we practice formally, but also in our everyday life. Just reminding ourselves to come back into this strength and solidity and wisdom of our own body, our own being. And in the words of Mary Oliver, patience comes to the bones before it takes root in the heart as another good idea. I say this as I stand in the woods and study the patterns of the moon shadows, or stroll down into the waters that now, late summer, have also caught the fever and hardly move from one eternity to another. What are we rushing for? We are always here in the eternal now. Now just feeling into the breath, the expansion of the breath. And sensing and feeling the surface that we're on, the chair or the bed or the couch or the floor. Remembering the room that you're in, the time of day. And seeing if you can make that transition from this inner world of experience and expansion and strength to the outer world of connection and learning, really conscious, just by blinking the eyes open rather than letting them fly open. Because in that way, we can bridge our practice to our experience of life. So life itself becomes our meditation.